Hi guys, thanks for clicking on my video. It's your old buddy Rorschach here. Well, I'm going to do something a little bit different now on my channel. This video might last over about half an hour or so, so get yourself a cup of coffee, put your feet up, and I'm going to be taking you into the world of Morrissey. Okay, so this interview, it was recorded in April 2019, but I guess it's just been released maybe today. Actually, yeah, June 24th it's been released. What's the date today? 25th today. So released yesterday. And I've got to thank Carl Benjamin from Swindon for doing this video here. That's the thing about, Carl. Okay, I'm not exactly going to treat him seriously as a political force after what he's done to UKIP. And he's not too good on the internet debates, is he? Look what happened to him with that debate against Richard Spencer. But he's still a good resource for new information, which is related to the ongoing culture war. So he's done this video called Morrissey is More Red Pill Than Man. And there's a link to this article here. Hang on. See that? There we go. So Pop Icon Morrissey says diversity is not a strength, obviously by Paul Joseph Watson of InfoWars fame. I guess he's still allowed on the internet. But it's a very, very short article. He's just taking snippets from the interview. And what I want to do here on this video is go to the main interview from Morrissey Central, and I'll link it down below if you don't want to hang around with me for the next half an hour, so you can read it for yourself. But that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to read out the entire article for you because I think it's very interesting. I just want to record it here on my channel. So Morrissey's released an album of covers. It's called California Sun. It's a great album. You can get it on Amazon, listen to it on Amazon Kindle Unlimited, the music subscription thing they've got on there for $9.99. I've listened to it quite a few times in the gym, and there's some great songs on there. Probably my favourite is Good Morning Starship, a cover of a Jabrayev song. But let's get into the interview, and the interview is from April 2019. So I guess this was before Sargon tanked UKIP for good in those EU elections. Okay. So there's an apology for the delay in printing the interview. Okay, so get your cup of coffee ready, put your feet up, and Rorschach is going to take you, sorry, just had a sip of water, into the world of Morrissey, into the ever fascinating world of Morrissey. Right, Sam, I wanted to interview you myself because I'm absolutely sick of reading terrible things about you in the UK press. Sam, why are you reading the UK press in 2019? Morrissey, you are a part of a very large group. Sam, why don't the Guardian just have you killed and put an end to it all? Morrissey, I think that's their eventual intention. Be patient. Who's reading the Guardian today? Sam, why haven't any legal moves been made against the Guardian? What's the point? Could they even defend themselves in court? If you go onto their website, they beg for money on every page. No one's reading the Guardian anymore. They're the old left gone woke, and they're an absolute joke on the Guardian newspaper. Morrissey, as a so-called entertainer, I have no human rights, apparently, because you put yourself out there. If I were a postman, I would want a harassment case against the Guardian and been awarded £10 million in damages by now. You might wave the Guardian aside and simply say, well, they're just loudly ridiculous, which they are, but at the same time you must wonder about the legal status and acceptable standards of journalism and how to distinguish, if you can, between what is actual news and what is written with full intent to cause harm. That's the fake news that Donald Trump talks about. The Guardian have pestered and relentlessly harassed musicians in my life, urging them not to work with me again. Now, this is not journalistic opinion at work, it is hate, with the sole intent of making me a public target. In these days of casual knife crime and hurling of acid, you'd expect the Guardian to maintain a certain careful morality. But no, if I suffer physical harm as a direct result of the Guardian's tyranny, you can imagine cheers and champagne exploding through their offices. Maybe not, I don't think they can afford champagne these days. It chills the blood. The Guardian fully believes it's a political thing. So again, this was released, actually recorded in April. So this is before the milkshake throne became a thing, I think. Sam, I can't think why I would ever buy a newspaper. Yeah, me too. Anything you say in this interview I will not edit, and obviously you can see audio in operation also, and that's why I'm reading out the full interview here, so no editing from Rorschach either. Morrissey, That doesn't worry me. I'm not Emmanuel Macron. What's Emmanuel Macron getting up to? I don't want to know, actually. Sam, you seem to settle all your press squabbles by yourself. Morrissey, you look around to see if what is written draws fire from friends and so on. But I imagine if anything was said in my favour, the press wouldn't print it anyway. Sam, Mojo. Mojo. Is Mojo still in existence? It's a bad magazine. Is Mojo? If you watching this video from the US, it's like an old school music magazine, which I'm sure not many people are buying today. Mojo even have a YouTube podcast, really, dedicated to terrible things said by Morrissey, even though they're not actual terrible things by any means. They'll just be things against contemporary woke left-wing consensus, corporate consensus, same thing. Morrissey, it's now a trend. In 1984, the Manchester Evening News had an enormous front page headline, Myra Hindley on the cover of a new pop disc. That'd be an old Smith single, I assume. Or some similar blast. Of course, the picture was actually Viv Nicholson, but the press never apologised for getting it wrong and putting your life in danger. Yeah, the fake news media has been fake for a very, very long time. Or just incompetent, really. Sam, I experienced all this firsthand 2 years ago when the Italian press said you and I had been caught speeding through central Rome. I didn't hear about this. I was apparently the driver, even though I wasn't even in the country at the time, and you were the passenger. I'm listed with the Rome State Police as a driving offender for this. Moz. Yes, it was horrifying. The car was a Fiat 500 doing 6 miles per hour on the shortest road in Rome. No one could drive quickly even if they wanted to. The so-called police officer, Raphael Baron, was threatening me with a gun and breathing very heavily, crazed, darting eyes, which I assumed to be a medical condition. He had no name, badge, no identification, and refused to tell me his name. His assistant officer, Armand of Interview with the Vampire fame, quietly apologised for Baron's behaviour, but the state police rushed a statement into the press immediately, which was suspect. I appealed to the British Embassy in Rome. Jill Morris said she said she couldn't help because the situation was private. It cannot possibly have been more public. I missed this somehow, probably because I don't pay any attention to the fake news mainstream media. Sam, I then received hundreds of death threats on my Facebook from Italy, all probably from the same person. Oh Sam, why are you still on Boomer Book? All probably from the same person. This was a shame because your affinity with Italy has been very strong. Moz. Yes, but you can't ignore a madman with a gun. Just because someone wears an official uniform does not mean that they are sane, sober, or even intelligent. Absolutely. I think Morrissey wrote a song about it. Sam, you cancelled 6 shows in Italy because of the incident. People begin to think your middle name is Cancellation. Actually sounds like a Morrissey song. My middle name is Cancellation. Moz, I know, but as far as I can see, many bands cancel and nothing is ever said about it. The song and dance made about my cancellations is usually from the people who wouldn't go to the concert in the first place. Sam, but you will play the calendar dates. Moz, yes. Sam, is your hand bad? Obviously it's covered. Morrissey, what have you been doing with your hand? Punching walls, no doubt, in frustration at the coverage you're getting from the mainstream fake news media. Moz, the stitches are out now, but if I had shaken anyone's hand last week, blood would have spurted. That's not a nice greeting. Sam, I don't think anyone ever believes that you're ill or that you fell or whatever. Moz, I know. Generally colds and flus are passed on to me, and there's nothing you can do when your voice is your instrument. I go to abnormal lengths to avoid colds. Sam, you must be pleased by radio play for It's Over and Wedding Bell Blues. Does anyone listen to the radio nowadays? I haven't listened to the radio in quite some time. Moz, oh yes, they sound fantastic on the radio. Sam, could they be hits, do you think? Moz, I don't know. People who like my music want the physical item. They are not content just to stream. Not true, Morrissey. I stream, and I'm a big fan of yours. I can't compete with artists who get 100 million streams per week. As finals, all my releases go to #1, but I can't compete in any other way. Sam, I don't think anyone looks to the charts anymore. I certainly don't. They don't seem to make any sense. You see what's happening and you see who has real popularity, yet the charts tell a completely different story. Moz, I've said this before, but I think the success of a record is decided in board meetings, usually before the record is even recorded. That's very conspiratorial, isn't it? Is he right? Who knows? In these days, yeah, maybe he is. Sam, does this apply to you in your world? Moz, well, no, because I've come and gone before anyone has time to notice. I have the least suspect chart life in history. Sam, many of your reviews have a sort of begrudging applause, as if writers are afraid to praise you. Oh, I know. It's okay though. Sam, can we just sort out your political position? Oh, here we go. This is going to get interesting now. Your political position, because I'm sick of reading about how you've had a controversial outburst when I know that you aren't seen anywhere and you don't ever speak to anyone. I've known you for 35 years and I've never heard you outburst. Are you actually a supporter of Carl Benjamin? No, never. Sam or Nigel Farage? No. But it's obvious that you would make a good Prime Minister if any of us can actually remember what a good Prime Minister is. I can, and her name was Margaret Thatcher. Sam, you support For Britain? Morrissey? Absolutely, yes. Sam, Labour Conservatives are obvious no's according to Irish Blood English Heart. What about the Liberal Democrats or the Greens? You got me joking, mate. Morrissey, I know nothing about either of them. Sam, well, why For Britain? There we go. I think Anne-Marie Waters, she's the leader of the party, is the only British party leader who can unite the left and right. I don't know any other party leader who even wants to do this. It's a demographic situation now, Morrissey. The UK is a dangerously hateful place now, and I think we need someone to put a stop to the lunacy and to speak for everyone. Yeah, the problem is, like I said a second ago, it's about demographics. The left are starting to appeal to basically non-indigenous peoples, if I can say that without getting in trouble on YouTube. I see Anne-Marie Waters, continues Morrissey, as this person. She's extremely intelligent, ferociously dedicated to this country. She's very engaging and also very funny at times. Sam, the obvious press assessment is that she is racist. Well, of course, because she's a white person who's actually standing up for the interests of the indigenous white people. But I haven't heard her say anything racist. Of course. Moz, neither have I. But if you call someone racist in modern Britain, you are telling them that you have run out of words. You are shutting the debate down and running off. The word is meaningless now. Everyone ultimately prefers their own race. Does this make everyone racist? Well, just white people. The people who reduce every conversation down to a matter of race could be said to be the most traditionally racist, because everything in life is not exclusively a question of race. So why make it so? Diversity can't possibly be a strength if everyone has ideas that will never correspond. Absolutely. Diversity is a strength to the left in terms of getting elected. That's why they're all about diversity. It's all about the elections. So, what was that? Diversity can't possibly be a strength if everyone has ideas that will never correspond. If borders are such terrible things, then why did they ever exist in the first place? Indeed. Borders bring order. I can't see how opposing halal slaughter makes me racist. It's because you're talking about the religion that will not be named. When I've objected to all forms of animal slaughter all of my life. Sam, the Guardian wants to destroy you because you said you were not a member of the loony left. At this stage, anything you say, they will turn it into a global threat to humanity. It kind of is a global threat, not to humanity, but a global threat to the loony left. Morrissey, yes, and it tends to spread. And suddenly, The Independent, which is another far-left UK newspaper, reported how people are walking out of my concerts, which was a fake news lie. It's all fake KKK, isn't it? Share our views or we'll smash your face in. But their level of determination reflects what they perceive to be your power and the weight of your views. If you were talking at a nonsense, they wouldn't bother with you. Inadvertently, they are telling you that you matter enormously. My political stance is simple. I oppose barbarism from the left, from the right or from the centre. You must finally wonder why the Guardian considers it their job to destroy anyone. It isn't their job. Well, if they were journalists, it wouldn't be their job. But the journalists don't see themselves as journalists anymore. They see themselves as full-time, left-wing, corporate-friendly activists. Sam, but the problem for them is that you've said you are not left-wing, and therefore they believe you ought not to exist. of course, because anybody who's not on the left is a threat to the establishment, institutionalised lefties. Morrissey, which reflects their intolerance of diversity. Well said. The very people who claim to be all about diversity actually, in reality, want anything but diversity. Diversity to them just means a demographic shift from the white people of traditionally white Western countries, changing into a new population of anybody from Middle East, Africa, anybody who basically votes for them. That's all it's about. It's about voting. And if they have to change the voters in the country to maintain their political position of control, then that's what they will do. So diversity is a strength to the left. Where was I? It is not their place or their role in life to cut people down and attempt to wipe them out. They are not a political party, yet they think that they are. Sam, I don't think people seriously believe that you are racist, but I think they enjoy saying that you are. Well, the word racist, it just means that you got strong in-group preference. I think that's what Morrissey was trying to say before, but I think Sam missed that one. Obviously, as racist is the worst possible thing that you could be in the world today, in the West today anyway. But I think they enjoy saying you are. Morrissey. Someone made the point the other day about David Bowie's famous "England would benefit from a fascist government" comment. I didn't hear about this. And his admiration for Hitler, and how Hitler was as stylish as Jagger, and how the UK needed a complete right-wing leader. Could you imagine if I said that? Now, of course, I sat privately with David many times, and he wasn't remotely fascist, although it's been said that he'd visited Hitler's bunker. Well, I did not know this about Mr. Bowie. But how many writers at The Guardian have David Bowie albums? All of them, probably. Hypocrisy. Obviously, a fascist would never have recorded Lady Stardust, and a fascist would never have recorded Wedding Bell Blues. But you see, the press choose their targets and ignore what it suits them to ignore. Indeed they do. In a way, that's the key to modern Britain. Only the mentally castrated are eligible for praise and awards. It's against the law to be intelligent. The dumb have inherited the earth. Absolutely, it's idiocracy in the real world. Last, because of this, British arts are controlled by completely limited possibilities, and the same faces appear everywhere. When you start arguing with The Guardian, you feel as if you're trying to reason with people, I think I've created something new, people who are barely toilet trained. That actually becomes no point. Yeah, people. I think I just did something new there. Sam, you also knew Lou Reed for a while. Really? Morrissey, yes, he was a lovely person. He had a great smile, which he almost never used. That's a great Morrisseyism, isn't it? We had a great afternoon in Rome once, and he seemed very happy. Sam, I promise this is the last time I mention The Guardian, but I laugh when I read how they criticise you because of your white privilege. Really, Guardian? Obviously, I know your life, and there's been no hint of white privilege, white disadvantage, if anything. Yeah, the white privilege thing is an absolute joke. There's no privilege in being white in the UK today. Morrissey. Yes, laughs, but to even slur someone for white privilege is in itself a racist comment. It's all reached such silly proportions now. How will it stop? I don't think it will ever stop, not if the left get their way. If they get their open border policies passed. There's no war in America, is there? We're still part of Europe. We're still getting record numbers of immigrants into the UK, and it's just because we live in a democracy. It's a matter of time at the moment, isn't it? It's basically a ticking time bomb until we can get the immigration situation sorted out. Will it ever happen? Does the UK have a chance? Does America have a chance? It's all about demographics. Sam, there was also the assurance that your concerts last year had been prevented from happening due to pressure from violent left-wing extremists. Violent left-wing extremists? I never heard of such a thing. Morrissey, again, absolute nonsense, of course, because it's the mainstream fake news media. The tour could not go ahead because it wasn't insured. Now, why this was so is nothing to do with me, yet the press implied that I'd been smoked out of my log cabin and dragged to Reading jail. That's a Oscar Wilde reference. It is possible to be just silly. Sam, the Manchester Arena bomb took place on your birthday, and I was there celebrating with you. And I came into the room and announced that at least 19 kids were dead. You spoke out about it immediately, yet you weren't invited to sing at the arena event for Manchester. Why was this, Moz? Because I do look back in anger. I would have sang World Peace is none of your business, or Life is a pigsty, or something truthful and meaningful. What about National Front Disco? If my child had been killed at Manchester Arena, I wouldn't be lighting candles and swaying. I'd be in a complete rage. Yeah, the lighting candles and vigil thing. My God, that does make my blood boil as well. Sam, UKIP are suddenly ahead in the polls. So yeah, this was definitely a few months ago, wasn't it? This interview, because UKIP are non-existent in the polls nowadays. Yeah, UKIP are suddenly ahead in the polls. Would you vote for them? Morrissey, no. I've never voted for anyone in my life. UKIP means nothing to me. Sam, but you are a Brexiteer. Morrissey, I didn't vote in the referendum, although I can see how there is absolutely nothing attractive about the EU. My view has always been that the result of the referendum must be carried through. If the vote had been Remain, there would be absolutely no question that we would remain. Absolutely, there'd be no call to a second referendum at all. In the interest of true democracy, you cannot argue against the wish of the people. Without the people, nobody in high office gets paid. Yeah, the people are just in the way at the moment, Moz. Sam, I'm 35 and I've never tasted animal flesh, or bird flesh, or fish. Really? That's got to be quite rare. Must have vegan parents. My brother is 28 and he's never tasted animal flesh. Even as newborns, we weren't given anything with dead animals bits in it. Why do you think successive governments support the idea of dead animals as human food? This is obviously getting on to one of Morrissey's favourite topics, but it's a bit of a change in the interview, isn't it? From politics to, talking about veganism or vegetarianism. Anyway, Morrissey. I think it's because successive governments receive support and cash and sponsorship from pharmaceutical companies and farmers associations. Absolutely, there's no doubt about that. So therefore, governments are obliged to repay them. Absolutely, you have to sing to the tune of the piper. The idea, I think, is to keep people unwell, sick or dying. This is getting very conspiratorial. And the best way to do this is to convince them that fat slices of sheep's faces are good for you. If the human race looked after itself and didn't eat pigs' noses, then pharmaceutical companies would perish. In the USA, most people die because of animal consumption. That would be a reference to, I guess, heart disease. But it doesn't ever seem to be a concern to the government because of it's good for business to keep people on medication. That's true. The food industry has destroyed the truth about what food is. Sam, there's a few political songs on California Sun. That's the new album, the compilation album, the covers album, but not many. And generally it's a well-crafted pop album above anything else. Did you want to calm it down a bit? Moz. It was never calm. My very first interview was with Nick Ferrari for The Sun. Is that the same Nick Ferrari who pops up on Sky News as the lone conservative voice? I think it is. And obviously you can guess how that went. That was almost 40 years ago. Wow. That long ago. Sam, sometimes you sound political even when you aren't being so because your voice is so adamant. I don't know what Don't Interrupt the Sorrow is about, but it sounds as if you're making a point. Moz, that's good, isn't it? Imagine if the song had a point and I didn't make it. Sam, it's great to see Joe Bryant in there with so many great American songwriters. A Morning Starship, that's probably my favourite song on the album, sounds like a big hit to me. But you were involved in the Joe Bryant projects a few years ago. No, says Moz, I don't like anything that dwells on the private aspects of Joe Bryant's life. I only ever like the music. I don't care what he did or where he went at 4 a.m. Yeah, I think with Joe Bryant there was a lot of prostitution going on in his life, and he died of AIDS, I do believe. So a bit of a degenerate, sad life, from Joe Bryant, I think. And Morrissey, just wants to focus on the music. Yeah, probably because that life was so darn depressing. Okay, so Sam says, I understand your point and I agree. Was It's Over easy to sing? Moz, oh no, I was petrified. I was convinced I couldn't do it, and when you hold a song in such high esteem, you somehow feel that you have a nerve to even attempt it. I think I gave up after several tries, but Joe Ciccarelli, producer, kept pushing me, which no producer had ever done before. and the final results were great. It's the most proud recording of my entire life. Wow. Sam, I enjoyed the B-side covers of last year, but I like to hear them properly recorded instead of live. Will that happen? Moz, no, I feel the same about To Give Is The Reason I Live, which we had done for several years but hadn't ever recorded. A song has its time, and then it's over. I love the song Action Is Middle Name, but that too wasn't ever properly recorded. Also, People Are The Same Everywhere was a fantastic song, just lost in the swirl of time. Sam, did you invite Billy Joe Armstrong to sing on Wedding Bell Blues because his name is Bill? Laughs. Yeah, Billy Joe Armstrong is the lead singer of Green Day, isn't he? He made a bit of a fool out of himself recently, actually, Billy Joe, by talking politics again, and he just seemed a little bit out of touch. He had big success with American Idiot, didn't he? Because he was talking about George W. Bush. But yeah, when it comes to the current political climate, yeah, Billy Joe just seemed a little bit lost in time to me. Anyway, back to the interview. Morrissey, no, laughs, and strangely, you won't believe that I didn't even make that connection until a few days ago. My brain works in quite mysterious ways. I was always a Billy Joe fan. I do like the early Green Day albums. And we had met, and then I was thrilled when he agreed to sing. I love the results. You also sang with Samir, says Sam, from Young the Giant. I'm sorry I can't pronounce his surname. Moz, he is incredible. One of the most powerfully soothing voices I've ever heard. Almost like Elvis Presley. That's one heck of a compliment. Sam, and LP, what is she like? Moz, hysterical. She'll sit there drinking all night. She's almost as funny as Chrissy Hind. And of course, what she does on It's Over is phenomenal. I am blessed. Who is LP? Sam, Wedding Bell Blues sounds like a deliberate plea for same-sex marriage. Is it? Oh, this would be an interesting response. Moz, I don't know what it is. I couldn't think of any reason to change the lyrics or switch genders or play about with it. Oh, Sam, stop putting your agenda into the interview. You know my life. I haven't ever been married. And once I feed the birds, the foxes and the badgers, then my day is over. I'm unlikely to ever be married to anything except birdseed. Yeah, pretty much the same, Mozza. Sam, the big track on the album is Some Say I Got Devil. It's as powerful as Life Is a Pigsty and Trouble Loves Me. Again, you don't seem to switch the genders. Am I wrong? Moz, I wanted to sing it in a way that I'd always heard it or knew it. You see, I'm not concerned at all about people being offended. If people dislike you, they always find a reason to be offended. Yeah, I know that from bitter real life experience as well. Sam, I wasn't saying that. It's not offensive. It's beyond sad. I can't imagine any other artist in 2019 recording a track like that. Morrissey, oh look, I've been accused of everything. I've been called every name imaginable. I'm only attacked by people who don't have the emotional ability to ignore me. This is why I wrote the song. If you don't like me, don't look at me. Sam, you're missing my point. It's a great track, and you sing it with such power. You don't hear that truth anymore in music. You had Jermaine Greer on the cover of your recent single. Do you put other people on your sleeves for discussion? Jermaine Greer, she's that old school feminist, isn't she? She's got in trouble recently for talking about the trans thing, which again, another topic that you can't really discuss on YouTube. Morrissey, not really. I almost never like the way I look, so it's ideal to use shots of other people. I've always loved Jermaine Greer, of course. And second, not third, wave feminists who have no relation to the modern fourth wave woke feminists who are too selective about what offends them. For example, says Sam. Morrissey, well, they ignore female genital mutilation in Bradford. Of course they do, because it's not white people doing it. For example, yet they make such a fuss about the Hollywood casting couch, which has existed since 1904. Yes, Hollywood casting couch. It's white, kind of, you know what I mean, and people, but FGM is it's marginalised people, and you can never criticise the marginalised people. Sam, I've heard your new studio album. Oh, a new studio album for 2020. This is exciting. And interestingly, it's an unexpected swerve from Low in High School or California Sun. Oh, I'm intrigued. Is it hard to sit still and wait for it to be released? Oh, it's been recorded already. Morrissey, no, because the understanding was that I would have to. Sam, Why did you record in France yet again? Moz, the studio is terrific. There's lots of animals and no television. That's always a good thing, having no Talmud vision. I feel completely safe in France. Sam, songs like Jim Jim Falls, is that about Mr. Metaca? And Bobby, Don't You Think They Know, sound very powerful. Whereas Love Is On Its Way Out is just beautiful. Love Is On Its Way Out. Oh, I hope not. Are you constantly torn between this Gemini hard strike and soft stroke? What was it? It is a good question. You know there's a constant search or desire just to be allowed to do it, just to be allowed to record. At will, doing your own thing. And that search doesn't end. Even now, at my age, I wait for someone to say, it's okay now, just go in and record. Sam, do you share the sorrow over Notre Dame? That's a cathedral fire, isn't it? Obviously, yes, but let's be realistic. It's arson. Ooh, everybody knows that. Interesting. Sam, why do you say that? You can judge it by the speed by which the corporate media rushed to call it an accident even though the fire had just started and no one was in any position to know anything. Brainwashing. It's a bit like hearing the full reason behind a plane crash even though the plane has yet to hit the ocean. If he's right about that, we will never find out, because the people responsible for the fire, again, are probably the marginalised people, you know. Sam, you'll soon be 60. Has the panic set in? Morrissey. It set in when I was 6. Sam, you have 7 sold out nights on Broadway next month. They've already happened. You can catch some of the shows on YouTube right now. They're great. Yeah, check them out. Do you suspect that the UK press have already written their terrible reviews? Yeah, probably. Telling us what a failure you are. Morrissey. Yes, laughs, but it's okay. I'm from Woking. I can take it. Sam. Mott the Hoople are playing their farewell concert in Manchester this week or next. I know you saw them when you were 12. What could Mott the Hoople possibly say to a 12-year-old? Moz. Too much in my case. My friend Jed Weitzman actually saw Mott the Hoople when he was 5, so 12 is quite middle-aged in comparison. Sam. I know your biggest hero is Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee, really? As well as the obvious Oscar Wilde and James Baldwin. How does Bruce Lee fit into it all? Moz. Style. I said many years ago about never having seen a bad photograph of James Dean. Some people just are style. I know you feel the same way about Marilyn Monroe. As do I, actually. Which is also true. It wasn't possible to photograph her unflatteringly. Style was just there within certain people without anyone needing to point it out. And Sexton was another. Sam, would you say this is true of you? Morrissey, no. Sam, Manchester recently lost Pete Shelley and also Marquis Smith. Were you saddened by their deaths? I was saddened about the death of Marquis Smith because he just released a new full album, and it's a really great album. It's the last full album. Check it out. Morrissey, no, not really. Because with both of them, as with Pete Burns, I suppose you can see that they've had a really... Sorry, I'll say that again. You can see that they've had a rough time and they've had enough. Humans don't last, yet we expect them to. Sam, I think you were a fan of Buzzcocks, though. Moz, I believe I was the first person ever to write about them. I saw their first ever gig, and the next day I was at the post office with a 3p stamp. What 70s band would you most like to see reform? Moz, I suppose the only band that would please millions of people would be The Jam. And although I'm not certain, I gather they don't much care for each other. So we can be excused for giving up hope on that one. Sam. Finally, any small regrets? Moz. I never make my regrets small, if I can help it. Robert Smith of The Cure. I said some terrible things about him 35 years ago, but I didn't mean them. I was just being very Grange Hill. That's a very old UK show for kids. It's set in a high school, as you Americans say. It's great when you can blame everything on Tourette's syndrome. Laughs. Sam. But you've never met him. Moz. Oddly, I was in a pub near Buckingham Palace perhaps 10 years ago, and there he was, staring over confrontationally. Oh, that's a fight I'd like to see. Morrissey versus Robert Smith. MMA style. I'd pay to see that one. I take no moral responsibility for whatever I said in 1983, continues Morrissey. After all, who does? Absolutely, we all change. For the better, hopefully. Sam, you've met Joni Mitchell several times. Is she nice? Moz, I don't think she likes to be called nice. But you know, people would go through that overwhelming experience of fame, especially in the 70s, when talent was actually an essential ingredient. You cannot help them to be ordinary. Sorry, you cannot expect them to be ordinary. They've gone somewhere that most of us can only dream of. Sam, since this is a Morrissey interview, I should edit this conversation and make you out to be a difficult monster who plans to control the political world. What would you do if I did that? Morse. Expect to find it printed in The Guardian as a special colour supplement. Sam, highlight of your entire career? Morrissey. Long pause. Sophie Loen, coming to see me last year. There's no one on earth more royal. But also, some years ago, I played in the field in Surrey. And I couldn't believe Iggy and the Stooges agreed to play before me. And then Lou Reed agreed to play. And Patti Smith agreed to play. And it was the most astonishing lineup. On such a fantastic day and such an incredible crowd. There was no press present and no reviews. That just about sums it all up. Sam, I wish I'd filmed this conversation. Morrissey, well, you didn't. That's the end of the interview, completely unedited. Very interesting, I'm sure you agree. And if you did manage to get to the end of me stumbling through it, thank you. I do appreciate it. I'll leave a link to it down below if you want to check it out yourself. And anything else that comes from Morrissey Central, this is going to be quite a good resource for anything Morrissey related, no doubt, because you can't believe anything that comes from the fake news media today, especially the bloody Guardian. Okay guys, I think I'll wrap up the video there. Thanks for checking it out. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you'd be so kind, and check out California Sun if you collect vinyls, get the album, or if you do like myself, stream your music on Amazon Kindle, then check it out. It's a fantastic album, and Morrissey sounds in perfect voice. He doesn't sound like he's 59 years of age. He sounds like he's in his absolute prime. So yeah, California Sun, check it out now. And that's it from me. Cheers guys, take care, and I'll catch you all later.